All right, Kristen, head up please, sir. We're about to go over that demonstrate your understanding. I have already made scans of that demonstrate your understanding, so you can write whatever notes you need to improve your understanding. I glanced through and planned a discussion based on what I saw. I think I have everybody's test now, correct? Both pieces. Clay, if you want to move so that you can see the board more easily, go for it. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. That's the solving that we're about to go over. So, but yeah, you don't have to move, but if you want to, go for it. All right, listen. I gave y'all 20 minutes the other day, yeah? To look at your test? What was the purpose of that? So you knew what you needed to study, right? During that 20 minutes, what could you have done to help? Check your proficiency scales. What else? Could you have taken some notes? Could you have asked me or Mr. Hobby questions? Guys, I want you to be successful. I do. But I need you to do the things that you need to be successful. Okay, so ask more questions. If you're, then maybe ask for a different perspective. If what Mr. Hobby is saying doesn't make sense, maybe ask me. If what I'm saying doesn't make sense, ask Mr. Hobby. Maybe ask your peers. But all of this is the stuff that we spent 4 or 5 weeks in class studying. Now, with that, we're going to go over those midterms tomorrow. We're going to split into groups based on what we need to work on. And Mr. Hobby will take one group at a time. I'll take one group at a time so that we can get stuff discussed in smaller group settings. You need to take advantage of that time to learn, because I don't care when you learn. I care that you learn. I don't care when it is, but I need to see evidence of understanding. So ask the questions to drive your thinking forward and understanding forward. Now, we're about to go over this demonstrated understanding. And one of the things I will say is looking at the way that a lot of us have taken notes, and I've said this almost every time that we have a chance to take notes, you write down a process without giving any of the explanation of why. If you don't have an explanation of why, that process is going to break down real quick. Stop trying to take the easy way out and just writing down the steps. Make sure you have a note of why these things are happening. So let's go over this demonstrated understanding, because this is going to help you in preparing for solving equations. I'm not going to have solving quadratics on the midterm, but solving an equation like this is something that could easily be on the midterm. This is something we've been doing since 7th or 8th grade, one of the two. I know COVID hit us in there, but we've been doing it every year since. I know that Ms. Heydrich and most of the geometry teachers start the year solving equations, because that's a priority for them in geometry. It's not really geometry, but it is part of mathematics, so they start there. I know in Algebra 1 that the teachers teach solving equations. Let's update our knowledge, take the notes, so that we can do this more successfully next time. Same thing with tomorrow when we have a chance to go over those linear, exponential, and quadratic tests. Jamie, if you want, you can grab your demonstrated understanding and move so you can see the board more clearly. Okay? You don't have to, you just can. Alright. So, first things first. I'm going to make a big overarching statement that I need you to make a note of. To solve an equation, you need to do two things, and in this order. Anyone know what those two things are to solve equations? Simplify. So that's combining like terms. There's other things, right? But simplify those expressions. Then what? And then use inverses with something. We don't move stuff across an equal sign. It's just whatever we do to one side of the equation, we have to do to the other. You had teachers tell you to move stuff, they're telling you wrong and they're hurting you, because when you start talking about, which we're not going to do this, but if we're talking about the sine of x equals pi thirds, you're not moving jack. You're going to use it. I just said we're not going to do that. I'm just saying, when you get to that stuff, you're not going to move anything. You have to use an inverse. When you start dealing with exponentials like this, that we will get to, and we have to use an inverse of the exponential, you're not going to move anything. You have to use an inverse. So it's important to understand inverses, not cheap tricks that move stuff across equal signs. That's not what's happening. So, now, in number 2, is there anything that I can simplify? Are there any like terms there? Now notice, negative 2x and 5x, aren't those on different sides of the equation?
Yeah.
And I said simplify what? Expressions. Right, so this is an expression, and this is an expression that are equal to each other. So are there any like terms or anything I can simplify here?
No.
What about here?
No.
So I don't simplify in this one. It's as simple as it gets. I need to start using what?
Properties of equality.
Well, what's going to determine which property of equality I use? I got to do what first? Inverses. For example, what could I do to a negative 2x? I could add. Notice, what's negative 2x plus 2x?
0.
0. By the way, again, guys, I gave you your demonstrating understandings back. Write whatever notes you need to on there to improve this. But notice, right, no simplifying necessary. But now I'm going to start using inverses. Because what's negative 2x plus 2x?
0.
Huh? No, it's for you to learn from.
But did you grade them? I know it doesn't matter, but I'm just asking.
Dog, how am I going to grade it? When you did it at the beginning of this block, how am I going to have graded it? You saw me walking around this room helping people this whole time, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I told y'all I made scans of it, so I have a digital version of it that I will score later. But I want you to get feedback now. So that's why I'm going over this, and you can write whatever notes you need to improve your understanding.
Yes, sir.
Now, notice I'm not moving stuff, but because I added 2x here, what do I have to do on the right-hand side? Add 2x. Now, I don't have to have gone in this order. I could have done it the other way. But that's the way I would have done it.
You could have used -4 first, right?
I could have done the -4 first, but then I had to do there's a million ways that I could have done
I
it.
did
So
mine -13.
notice if I had done,
-13. Wait.
so if I had done what Taja talks about of -4, negative 2x would equal 5x minus 17. What would I need to do from this equation?
Subtract.
5x minus 5x is whatever I do to one side of the equation, gotta do to the other. No matter what am I going to do next?
Divide.
Divide by 7 or negative 7? Remember, I'm going to use that reciprocal because it ties into a lot of things. In fact, one of these later problems, it's really good to understand reciprocals, but that creates a 1x. And a lot of y'all freaked out because you're like, how to fraction? Hey, guess what, guys? In math, you know what you can get? Fractions. It's okay. Notice, does it matter which which direction I went? No matter which one you did, you should have gotten what? Same thing, 17/7. That's it. What questions do you have about that one? Yes, Picard.
I did -13 on both.
But if you already have a -13 and you want to create a 0, don't you need to add 13?
Oh, I'm talking about number 1. I know, my bad.
Oh,
I got 1/3 though.
Number
Number 2.
13 and number 1. Oh,
well, it's not 1/3. It's 17/7. Okay. If you didn't get number 2, number 3 is a slightly more complicated one, but it has the same exact ideas. So let's move to 17. In number 17, what's the first thing I need to do? Number 3. I don't know why I said 17. Number 3, what is the first thing I need to do? Okay, so I need to simplify, right? What's one thing that I could do to simplify here? Taj mentioned distribute. Can I do that? Can I distribute here? Yeah. I can distribute multiplication to addition and subtraction. Notice So am I doing anything to the left-hand side?
No.
So I am simplifying to start. What's half of 6?
3,
What's half of -8?
-4.
Alright, can I simplify further?
Yeah.
Okay, what do I have that's like terms?
-4 plus.
-4 and +3. Notice I have simplified as far as it can go. Now that I've finished simplifying, what do I need to start you doing?
Inverse.
Inverses with
Property.
properties of equality. Notice, like, if you understand those two major ideas, simplify and inverses, then it becomes very straightforward. Simplify, then inverses. So there's lots of steps that I could do, but what's one thing I can't, what's one option right here?
Could add 5.
Can you stop talking about
I can talk to you at 1:40.
But why you put the
What's one thing I can do here?
Add 5 and -1.
Add what?
Add 5 and -1.
Now, what I would say is add 5 to make a 0. And what I do to one side of the equation, I gotta do to the other side. Now what?
Subtract 3x. Make that your
So, one thing I want to point out is you can subtract 3x. I see some students doing this, and I want you to pay attention to this. Mathematically, is this legal?
No, you gotta do some minus 2.
I could do, well, I mean, what I did on one side of the equation, I did to the other, right?
And that could work, right?
So 2x minus 2x is what?
0.
The reason why this is not the best move, but it is mathematically legal, is because we need to recognize it's a 0, and then everything is on the right-hand side. That's still legal, though. You just have to be careful about what you're doing, noticing where you're making zeros and where you're making ones. If I wanted to solve for x from here, though, what could I do?
Now subtract 4.
Subtract 4. So, was it legal, was it possible to subtract 2x right there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this the only way to solve this equation?
No.
As long as you're using inverses to create those zeros and those ones, it's fine. For those who are like, oh, subtract 3x, here's what you would do. -1x equals 4. So divide by -1. What's 4 divided by -1?
-4.
Same answer? So is there more than one way to do this? Yeah, 100%. Way more than one way to do this. Okay, number 4. What were we thinking? I saw a lot of us do the first step really successfully, then we stalled out.
X squared. So I added 9 to 6. And did it other side of the equation.
So add 9 to the left side to make a 0. Got to recognize we're trying to make zeros and ones to start. Then I'm left with x squared divided by 4 equals what? 25.
Then you square root.
Some people do that. I would not have square rooted right here. Definitely not.
That's what I did.
If I were to read this,
Or no,
yes,
no,
Patty.
I multiplied.
I would say, if I were to read this, what's happening to x first? It's being,
Divided.
not first. It's being squared, isn't it? Don't exponents happen before division?
Yep.
So it's x squared, and what's happening to x squared? It's being
Multiplied.
divided by 4. What's happening after dividing by 4? Nothing, right? That's it. So the last thing I just said was dividing by 4.
Yep.
What's going to undo division by
Yes,
4?
I'm Miss Cannon right there.
Multiplication by,
4.
Miss Cannon.
notice what I did to one side of the equation, I had to do to the other. What's up, Vicari?
I had put that x squared, the little 4 equals 25 calculator and said false. You remember the little thing we were doing that said if it was true or false?
Like substituting a value in for x?
Yeah, and it said false.
Well, then you probably set x, I'll have to come look at it, but you have to actually substitute the right value for x in. What would I do now to solve this equation?
Square root.
25 times 4.
Now the inverse of a square is a square root,
And it's going to be
so what does x equal?
10.
Does it equal anything else? Is 10 squared equal to 100? What about negative 10 squared? What's negative 10 times negative 10? It's also 100. Remember, we talked about this the other day, that when you take a square root, how many roots are there?
2.
There's a positive and a negative. You could have written it that way, or a positive 10 and a negative 10. But I would make that note is, when you take a square root, you need to have how many roots?
2.
A positive and a negative. Okay. We're gonna have to talk about number 6 tomorrow, but I want to talk about 5 really quickly. I need us to pay attention on 5. What do we want to be true about Val's veggies? We want Val's veggies to be cheaper, so less than Sally's salads. Val's veggies, how many times is she charged that $2.50? Once, so $2.50, right?
Yeah.
What's happening to that $2.50?
It's
Just get it added.
Plus per bag, right? So times X, or I would do L for lettuce. You could use an X there. And that needs to be less than, with Sally's salads, how much is she being charged up front?
$100.
$100. And plus $4 per bag. Remember guys, multiplication is repeated what? Addition. That's what we should have set up, or an equal sign. I will say this, I think it was Preston, you made a table, didn't you? Yeah. The table can work here to help you out, guys. You can solve this problem just using a table. You can. I would have liked to have seen an equation, but don't forget that you can make a table, you can make a graph to help you out. So, that's what we should have set up and solved it from there. If you solve it from here,
Okay, keep sure you upload this tonight.
so 150 equal is less than 2.5 L.
They got
So
it.
whatever 150 divided by 2.5 is 60. So as long as we're buying more than 60 bags of lettuce, have a great rest of your day. Please make sure you take your demonstrated understanding with you. Deanna, what was your question? I don't do extra credit, but if you, remember, on your midterm, you show me proficiency with things that you did earlier in the year, you're gonna be fine. So tomorrow, we're gonna go over these tests. But show me proficiency. And like that C could go up to an A. I just need you to show me that you understand it. So learn from your mistakes tomorrow, and everything's gonna get fixed. We just gotta show understanding. I don't do extra credit because I give you multiple opportunities to show me evidence and understand. And I'll say this, no one ends up taking credit of it, but if you show me evidence next 9 weeks that you understand it, I'll go and sign a grade change form and let you earn a higher grade for this quarter. Because I can do that as long as I have physical evidence to say, hey, this person understands what they're doing, then I can go sign a grade change form. If they don't want to see, want an A, go learn that. And I will sign that grade change form. Okay? Yes, ma'am. I know, you were so close. You got this, though. Alright, hold on 1 second, Caleb. Let me get the cards. Then we'll start generating new groups. Sorry. Go ahead and tell me what you're capable of.